evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of RAGIN. I am the Asian. This is Meredith Walkren, and we have a couple of special guests here. I'm going to drop the card so that they can introduce yourself. And, you know, my co-host, I don't know what's going on. You know, maybe she looks like this, not sure, but hey, Nita!
Hey! Don't eat the larva. Don't eat the larva.
Don't eat the larva. Yeah, so if you guys were watching this afternoon on our vlog, we did the larvettes. Crunchy goodness. So I'm not feeling any effects of that. Just a little, you know. Okay.
Glad you did that earlier.
Yeah.
See, you could always jump in on that, but why don't you introduce yourself really quickly, and then we're going to go to our special guests here.
All right, I'm Steve Michael Layden, of course, independent artist, done work with Silverline, Continuum Comics, and don't feel gypped, guys. I'm also a Cajun, so it's still Asian and the Cajun. So.
See, he's got the bandana on. That's and right. Everything.
I told him I'm doing the Frog Brothers tonight. That's the thing.
Like, Nita, damn, girl, you need to shave.
It's a larvae. This is right.
Something was hatching.
Hair Club for Men, forget that. We got the sour cream and onion larvae.
Crickets next. I don't know. Anyway,
no. The larvae at least looks, you know, you can kind of fake with crickets. I don't think you can.
Yeah. Hey, Daphne, why don't you introduce yourself too?
So hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. And I have been self-publishing comics with this dude since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy Tall Tales and my medieval drama Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. You can read both my comics on talltalesonline.com, that's TAILS, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, and you can watch my videos on how I make these comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art.
Nice. And JD, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
All right, so my name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles and Tall Tales. I've been working with, you know, that young lady right there for
oh, how sweet.
for a while now. You know, and yes, I have one of those too. You know, and then also, there's a few hours left on my Indiegogo for the Oswald Chronicles. So if you want to go jump on that, go check it out. All right. Well, there you go.
I'm getting a collection. Here.
Yep.
But yeah. So it's really good to have you guys here. I don't really see you guys on too many live streams together.
Right. Yeah. It's scheduling. Yeah. It's a scheduling issue mostly.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I'm at work, and also I tend to be a night owl. So she does the morning shows. I tend to try to stick to the evening. So
yeah.
Now, so you guys, you said earlier, since 1992, right? Now, JD,
not 20 years ago.
we were doing like terrible movie nights and things like that, and you had said that you did a student film.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And I saw a credit with this lady's name on it. Yeah. So when you were in college and all that, was film the way you wanted to go, or was it comic books and that was just kind of something fun or something to earn your credits?
Okay, well, comics came first. And then I was just tired of working. So I decided to take some time off and go to school. I took a couple of years off. And during that time, I went to school. I went to film school. And that was pretty much it. The one thing it showed me is that I probably could do it if I wanted. But it's time intensive. It's cost intensive. It was too much. It was just like, this is crazy. Especially since I was doing it all on my own. I mean...
Well, and then realizing that making a film, even just going to film school, was a group effort.
Yeah. You don't go by yourself. You know, you take everybody with you. So
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then you have to a whole group of everybody. You have to kind of get coordinated. That would be a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and it was just like, and the thing is the one thing I found is that I just wanted to focus on my writing, so I just kept writing. So but it was I don't regret it 1 minute.
No, not at all.
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. So
And then Daphne, how did you get roped into like that credit?
Because he was, because like I said, it's like doing movies is a group effort, and that was the thing. It's like, he went to film school, and it was like we all went to film school because
like, hey, you want to be in a movie,
right? Well, actually, no. It's like I have homework and I need help.
Right.
That's literally what it was. I mean, we just dragged in everybody that we could to make this. I don't even remember what my credit was. I don't know. I don't even remember what I did on the movie, to tell you the truth. I think I was doing like sound or something. I don't remember.
You might have been a producer.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember being in the back alley setting up scenes and stuff, and then having to explain to the neighbors what we were doing because we were doing it at
night. We're really not murdering people.
No, for real. It was like that. Yeah.
It's like, please don't call the cops.
Yeah, exactly. No, really. I think that's what that's what we were doing.
Yeah. We shot fast.
Yeah.
Like, all right. We got 20 minutes. Let's do this quick.
Yeah. It's like, well, because you're also in New York, so you don't have a license or anything. So you probably all right, hurry up and shoot this and then go.
Yep.
Well, I mean, mostly we kept it like in our house and on our property. But the back alley was where it became tricky, because then it's like all the neighbors are like, what are you doing? Because we had floodlights and everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much fun.
Yeah.
So then going from like film school, but JD, you said that it was always comics. When did you know it was always comics?
I don't know. I was probably 10.
Okay.
Maybe 9.
What was the gateway for you? What was the gateway comic for you?
And for me, it was a Daredevil 168, the introduction of Elektra.
Oh,
very specific.
Yeah, that was.
Always remember your first.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't my first comic. It was the first comic that I was like, you know what? If I write a comic, I want it to be this good. Now I don't know if I've achieved that, but I'm trying. Frank Miller is a hard guy to to come up against. But I'm working on it. So.
Daphne, what about you? Yeah, what was your gateway?
Well, I kind of feel like I was like a late bloomer in comics, even though it's like, thinking back, I mean, it's like I always had comics in my life, but never like this, never like, oh, this was a thing to do. But I mean, if anything, but mostly it was like foreign children's comics, like from Spain and Brazil. So I think what really introduced me to mainstream American comics was it was 2 books. It was Rocket Raccoon by Mike Mignola, and it was illustrated by Mike Mignola, and it was ElfQuest, the first Starblaze Dawning trade paperback. That was I found it in a Barnes and Noble, and what was funny was that it never occurred to me that I could buy the book. It's like we would just go to Barnes and Nobles like every week, and every week I would go make a beeline to where that book was and just sit there staring. Like, it never occurred to me to just buy it. And then eventually, and then eventually, it's like, I should buy this, so I'm not standing here like a crazy person.
No, now you make me feel bad because I just bought it from Barnes and Noble. Now I took it away from some kid coming there.
Right. Right, yeah, so it's like, so those were like the first, so those were like the gateway books for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Barnes and Noble, I'm totally there to escape. I will sit on the floor with a book and just go, I'm just scanning through the pages, but I'm like reading through it, Such a deadbeat. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I used to do that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was my escape from the kids, because they had the kids area and stuff like that, and now I want to ask about the collaboration. It's I have worked with my husband before in retail, and it's kind of weird for me because we were so busy, because it was food service, it's retail, it's really fast paced, 16-hour days, 7 days a week, really, really tough. And for me, it felt like I kind of missed my husband because it was always work, right? Mm-hmm. but with the creativity and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know. I mean, do you go to your corners? What's that collaboration like when it comes to?
The corners are important, I have to admit.
Okay.
Yes.
Corner, our own corners and separate bathrooms.
And
There you
shop.
go.
The dream. The dream.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. No, but beyond that, like the when it came to the idea of Clive, of the Oswald Chronicles, of Egoworks in general, when you kind of sat down and you started fleshing out ideas and things, because I'm looking at this, these are more prose. These are prose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, you kind of take Clive and he goes on these adventures and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, what was that like developing this, either individually or, together as a collaboration?
Okay. This is why we chuckled at the beginning.
Yeah. It's
Because okay. I do my part of the job, which is writing. And, and I rarely talk to anyone about what I'm doing. I live in my brain and the stuff comes out and I just work it. So like, whether I'm writing prose or I'm writing anything, it's rare that I come to any of my partners, my artistic partners, and I say, hey, what do you want to do? Because in the end, I have a story I want to tell and I need to tell it. And if I start saying, okay, what do you want to do? Then it won't necessarily muddy the waters, but it may. So I have a story I want to tell, and I have pretty much a straight line to that end goal. And the story is already, Tall Tales is already 28 issues in. So I'm like, if we add more stuff to it, all right, here goes another 20 issues. I'm trying to get it done in the next 12.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Same thing with Oswald. I'm 1,200 pages in, and I'm looking at maybe another 1,200 pages before I finish it. So I'm like, if I start asking, oh, what do you want to do? You start interjecting that stuff. It's just going to go even longer. So it's just like, I'm trying to keep it, I would hate to say streamlined because it's not streamlined, but it's just, I'm trying to at least keep it in a direct line, But the thing is starting so young, I never had a collaborator, So it was like when I met Daphne, when I met all my other friends, Matt Lunsford, Zach and Lennox, and when I worked with all these other people, it never occurred to me to collaborate. My collaboration with them is like, okay, with Zach, I handed him a script. We had a main character in it. His name was Thieves. I gave a description. He was a police officer. Okay, whatever. He came back to me, and the character is African American, and I was like, oh, okay, that works. So, because originally I was just thinking him as, just an Anglo-Saxon, just some white guy just running around. He turned him into that. I was like, what? That's fine. That works. Same thing with Jade Gonzalez when I give her stuff and I say, okay, well, we have orcs in this story. And the description is orcs are pig-like. And then what does she do? She gives, then they're all like pigs. So they're not pig-like, they're just pigs. And I'm like, okay, fine.
He's thinking Dungeons and Dragons, Monster Manual, and she's thinking Muppet Show.
Right, exactly. So,
yeah,
same thing with kobolds. I said they're dog-like, and then what do I get? I get dogs. I'm like, what, fine. So in those instances, I allow the artists to express themselves however they want. Just like with character designs with Tall Tales, some of them were already done when Daphne first showed up, but whatever new characters come up, she gets free reign to do whatever she wants to do as far as design work. So.
Yeah. So that was the thing too, is because I was taking over from somebody, so it's like it just felt like more. It's like, okay, I'm playing in someone else's sandbox. Although what's funny is that I think like the closest thing we came to collaborating at the very beginning was that the tone to Tall Tales was completely different. It was supposed to be he was working off of somebody else's idea. Like Tall Tales was originally supposed to be like some kind of like Monty Python meets
Comedy.
Disney's Robin Hood type of thing.
Yeah.
And I was, and there just came a point where it's like, I went to him and it's like, is this something you really want to do? Because I'm not really feeling it. And he goes, yeah, I'm not feeling it either. So,
Yeah.
and then it kind of like, we realized that it's like, okay, that we were both on the same wavelength as to what the tone of the book we wanted. I mean, that would be the closest to collaborating. But other than that, it's like he gives me the script and I just try to interpret it the best way I can. And he just gets used to the idea that he's never going to get what he sees in his head.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's pretty much the closest. I mean, it's like I unless something is like really, really like I'm not understanding it, I don't question pretty much what's in the script, and I don't really go to him going, well, what if? And it's like, no, it's like it's in the script already, so that's what I focus on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So going back to what you were saying about not feeling it, JD, as the writer, if you're not feeling it, it's one thing, because we all kind of have like that doubt a lot of times, I mean, if it wasn't for a deadline or something, we'd probably keep editing, right?
Yeah.
But so when somebody else, that you trust says, I'm not feeling it either, what do you do with all of those words?
Depending on what it is. I mean, okay, now you also we have to preface this with the fact that Daphne and I were probably 18, 19 years old.
Something like, if not slightly younger.
Yeah,
probably,
possibly. Yeah. It might have been a little younger. So that's the thing. But with that is you take it and then you scrap it and you start from the beginning. And that was what happened in that particular case. There was another particular story that I wrote for Oswald, and I had written it and I showed it to Daphne. And I said, tell me what you think. And she came back with, if like it's wrong, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I remember, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right. And I was like, yeah, because that's how I felt about it too. That's usually the only time I go to her. I go to her when I'm like, yeah, if there's something wrong and I feel, I get that sense and say, all right, let me get that validated. I said, okay. And then she'll tell me that I went back and I added a section to the story that fleshed it out.
Right.
And that made the story complete. So.
Yeah, it's like I remember like there was like maybe like another time that happened, but usually probably. It's because you already have an idea that something's wrong, and then that's when you ask. But if you're like pretty chill with what you're writing, that nobody gets input.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Sorry. It is what it is.
So, so now with the longevity of creating and stuff like that, okay, because I'm coming into comics. For me, it feels like I guess a renaissance. Not because I was really all that involved. I mean, I grew up. My father was in the Army. We were kind of poor, so we couldn't afford going to the comic book store and getting things, so we had the Sunday funnies, I had my favorite strips and things like that. And, going into junior high and high school, we had friends who we did like fan fiction, and we tried to make comic books and stuff. We'd pass around a notebook and everything, and nothing really came of it. And so here I am, almost 50, kind of getting into the process, and I'm like, man, this is hard work. I mean, I'm kind of glad that I did not do this when I was in my teens and 20s or even my 30s, because it's not easy. And there's just so much history and so much to learn. When you were young, would you say that it was just kind of like this young and dumb moment? It's like, let's do this and just to hell with it, or were you like, hey, I've got a clear path. I kind of know what I'm doing.
No.
Thank God you said that, because I'm like,
No, it was young and dumb is pretty much the long and the short of it.
Yeah, there were portions of it that were calculated and planned, but a lot of it was because of dumb luck that it just kind of fell into place.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just the whole just how I even started to work with him. A friend of his was in the same class as I was. And it's like it literally was, hey, a friend of mine is starting up a comic book company, and you draw the funny animals. Do you want to draw comics? And I go, yeah, sure. It's like, yo, that's normal. That sounds completely normal.
Yep.
Just say, like, that's just the next step. It's natural.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's, there was like no, I remember it, like no thought process involved. It's like, it's like it's like we meet up at like this open, this public mall space. And it's like, and that's where we go. And it's like, it was just like, it was like so impromptu and seat of our pants type of thing. There was like it was the type of thing you could only do when you're like 16, 17, 18. And that's because there's nothing else to think about.
Now, if you really want to be horrified, this happened in 86, 87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
really,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Those were not bad years for me. That was high school for me, so
yeah. Because now there's nothing impromptu about like meeting people to do comics and stuff. It's all about page rates and it's like in schedules and deadlines and and contracts and back then it was just like, yeah, sure.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, because we were all partners.
Yeah.
And we were all, and the thing is, I was insane. So it was like, okay, so I found an artist, right? I was like, okay, well, Daphne, you'll be on Tall Tales.
Right.
And then I found another, then my friend, he kept bringing me people. So we met Matt Lunsford, and I was like, okay, well, you're Dreamweavers. And then he bring us another, Zach, you're Reaver. Okay, cool.
Right,
and then, and it was just, and then there was another guy, Gerald, Security Agenda, Star Point.
You get a book.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would have ended up with like 8 or 9 books if it was possible.
But the good thing is that you found people who were actually willing to put in the work for that, because it's almost like putting a band together. If you don't have somebody that's going to put the work in, then it's all for naught. Really.
Actually, that's the exact comparison. This is the artistic version of putting a band together. It's like everyone's in the garage and jamming and stuff and just pumping out all this comic book work.
Does it get easier?
No.
I mean,
as an artist, I can imagine,
I'd have to preface what's easier.
You see that's the thing. I mean, it's like, because it's like it's a constant. It's like you're constantly moving, and it's like and everything is changing and improving and this and that. Like it's like what's easy, really.
Yeah. But then how about like the business aspect of it? There are a lot of people who really don't understand that there is a business behind comic book creation and things, especially it's one thing to put the band together and make a book and have fun and go, hey, we did this. It's another one to say, hey, this might be a vehicle for me to pay the bills. I need a business plan. I need to show up to conventions. I need to make sure that I'm budgeting for travel.
I mean, that's the reason why we're out of the original group. We're the only ones left.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because okay. So, I mean, like I said, we were very young. I incorporated at a very young age. Like I was 18, 19 years old. I formed a corporation. I was Golden Realm Unlimited. We ran for about 3 years. Now, here's the problem with those 3 years. Every year we released a book. Right, so Tall Tales #1 came out in, I don't know, whatever, it was like 2001. Oh no, excuse me.
No, the 1992.
Yeah, so it was like 92.
1992.
You almost missed about a decade there.
Yeah, I know. All right, so 92, 93, 94. Each year we had one issue. Same thing with Dreamweaver, same thing with Reaver. It was like boom, boom, boom each year. But it's like you can't. That's not sustainable. You can't do any type of comics, and these were like 24, 32 page books, 48 page books. You can't just do one a year. That's not a business. But we were kids. We didn't know any better. So, we were just going by the seat of our pants. We stopped it, I think it was in 94. And then, we moved on to do other things. So, and then everybody else, we're still friends, but what is it? One guy's an architect, another guy became what is it? He's a medical illustrator.
Medical illustration, yeah.
Right. Another guy went off to go do graphics, online graphics and 3D graphics for Hollywood, so everybody went their separate ways, so, but it is what it is. But, once in a while we reach out, we talk to them.
Right.
All right. And so we do have a question here from Joe D. McPhee.
Hi, Joe.
Not getting what's in your head. How do you know that the story being told correctly if it's not making up to what you have in mind as a writer?
Well, I mean, okay. I think I've discussed this with Joe and a few other people. The thing for me is I write and I just write my first pass and I put everything in it. I just write whatever I got to write. And then I go in there and I let it, and then I'll put it to the side for anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, sometimes 6 months. And I'll pull it out and I'll reread it. And I just beat that sucker to death.
Yeah.
I just beat it up. It's the art is, for me, the art is in the edit. You have to know when to cut. You have to know when to add, because it's not always a thing about subtracting. Because some people tell you, editing is the art of subtraction. Not always. Sometimes you got to know when to add stuff, because sometimes you just need that. So, but you have to know, when to edit, when to cut. I'll be honest with you. I'm self-taught, and I guess I was just kind of lucky that I've been reading comics so long. So it's just kind of like ingrained in my blood. This is how you tell a story. So it's just like, it's just in there. It's like, okay, you just boom, 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 boom. That's why I find it fascinating when, because I do fairly linear stories. I find it fascinating when, sometimes I'll do flashbacks or whatever, but I've seen other guys do some other weird stuff. And I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. And then sometimes I want to get in there and do some of those weird things. I don't always get the chance because, like I said, I'm trying to tell a story and you don't always get to experiment. And that's one of the things that sometimes I feel I get a little uptight about, because I like to experiment, but you just don't have the chance because you're trying to tell this story. You're like, okay, you got to cut that stuff out.
Right. I mean, what's funny is that recently I found I don't consider myself a writer because I can only write my own stuff. Like I can't just I'm very one-trick pony when it comes to that. And I found one of my original scripts to Ego Raven, and I was reading it and I didn't even recognize it, because so much had changed from when I wrote that original script to what's being published now. And as sometimes I don't even know why I made the decisions that I made, but it was just, it's like, just because you're writing something on a first pass doesn't mean it's the right path for that story. It's just, you just keep hammering at it until you finally get the story that feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once wrote a short story. I think I was at work and I wrote down some notes and I started the short story that night, and it took me a good 7 years to figure out the ending.
Wow. That's a long time for that to ferment.
Yeah. It took a long time.
Yeah. So now I want to ask, okay, so now we've got, this is prose. I mean, you go through
two chapbooks. Yeah.
Yep. And having, I've been a prose writer pretty much all my life. As soon as I could write the words and understand and put them in cohesive sentences and things like that.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
And then going into taking some of the words, taking your characters and those worlds, and then trying to script it out into anything. JD, if you're not like the artist, if you're not the one who does the sequential art, but you have to convey those messages along so that you get that back, at least some semblance of what your words are. I mean, tell us about this, going from prose to script and then trying to get those ideas to an artist so that you have a product that you're like, yeah, I did that.
Okay, now it probably ties in heavily to the way I read. When I was very young, I started with comic books, right? When I was probably like 6, 7, right? And then around 11, 12, I started reading prose, right? And once I started reading them, it wasn't like I read like one book a year or 2 books a year. I was reading a book a week, sometimes 2.
I remember those days.
Right. So, so I was reading novels like that. And I wasn't just reading anybody. I was reading Heinlein. I was reading Isaac Asimov. I was reading Frank Herbert. I was reading Michael Moorcock. So, it was a little bit on the heavier side. So it was just like, okay, so you had to catch up quick. Now, when I got into comics, I've been writing probably scripts since I was like 10. So I started writing scripts. And then there came a point where I started experimenting with prose. And I said, okay, so let me start experimenting. And so the transition from one to the other for me wasn't, I didn't find it to be that difficult. The thing is you have to strip things away when you're adapting prose to comics, right? Because you're not going to sit there and say, okay, well, you have any form of narration that you're going in there. You're not going to put that all on the page because you're going to be like, okay, well, he turned the knob, right? No, the artist is going to show you he's turning the knob. That's the artist's job, so you have to strip that out. And then maybe the only thing you'll keep in is maybe some narration as far as like what the character's thinking. And even then you want to like sometimes limit that because you want to let the page do, you want to let the artist do their job. So I'm focusing primarily on dialogue and I'm focusing on, emotional intent in the scenes. So in trying to convey that to the artist, this is whether it's smiling, laughing, that sort of thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I've done it I've been doing it so long and so often. It's kind of almost second nature. So.
What's funny is that's something that I'm learning myself right now. Like that's why it never gets easy because it's always something. There's always something to learn, because it's like on my own journey with Ego Raven. Part of it is writing out these like short little like mini these vignettes just to get my thoughts on paper, and because sometimes writing for me is faster than drawing, so it's like okay, I have this idea in my head, let me write it out. And I recently am doing, well, I'm still currently doing it. It's an experiment where I took one of these vignettes and translated it into a 12-page story. And I was a little surprised as to how much stripping you have to do just to do that, because there were details in the story that I wrote that it makes sense to have in prose because you can kind of like wander a bit, but in comic book format, it's like you have to really kind of stay focused as to what the heart of the story is, or else it's not going to be a 12-page story and you're going to be meandering all over the place. So yeah, it requires to make that jump. I was surprised at how much it needed to I have to hyper focus on the story for it to work as a comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, C, I'm going to pass the mic to you because I'm sure you have some questions with them, especially since I know you and I have worked on a couple of stories, really kind of short ones, sequential art. Like, I really don't know, when you started your sequential art journey and what if you were going to pick their brains, what questions do you have?
Well, see, I know JD kind of has a freestyle. You kind of just write on a page and then hand the page off to the artist.
Right. Well, it depends. Because I've written full scripts for people.
Yeah.
But my general thing is to write. It's a full description. So you get a full description, all the dialogue, and you'll get like I said, emotional content. So you get the characters smiling, laughing, that sort of thing, and then what I allow the artist to do is to they can juxtapose that however they want. What's up, Varian?
Right. So how do you prefer to work, Daphne? Do you like that, having the ability, that freedom to put whatever you want on the page to tell that story? Because I find I'm able to draw better that way. But
okay. So his scripts, sometimes I kind of dislike the block of description than the dialogue, because I if I'm not reading carefully, I can miss things. So it's what's funny is that on the more recent scripts, he's been kind of working it more scene by scene, because I think I might have mentioned that to him, can you kind of break those blocks up? So it's like, so that way it's like I'm working scene by scene, you know, like moment by moment, as opposed to like reading out this whole block as to what's happening, and then all of a sudden I get all the dialogue, and then I have to match up the dialogue to this to
Right.
what's in the description.
Yeah,
That
was my old way of doing it. When I
Yeah.
first started, what I would do is I would literally write out one, it just might as well have been one gigantic paragraph. One huge paragraph that describes everything in the issue.
Yeah.
Beat by beat, line by line, in one straight line. It was, and then I would go in and I would be like, oh, okay, well then write, and then I would write in all the dialogue underneath it. So the artist, now what I do is I just chop it up.
Right.
So that all the dialogue is in it with the way it should have been done from the
Yeah,
beginning.
because that expression is important, getting that in the art. So
it is, you know, and that's it, especially like, because my favorite part of the process is actually getting like doing facial expressions. So I really do want to know like the correct, you know, face to go with the dialogue. So you know, so so I need it really broken down like that.
Yeah. I think for me as a writer, it's hard for me to almost let go and trust somebody else to come back with that and hope that my words have translated okay. You know, I mean, and so far I've been pretty easygoing. I think that might be the way to go in a way. I mean, there are certain things that I'm very specific about. Like, you know, when it comes to even talking to a colorist, it's like, I don't care what you do, but this character's got to be this, you know? And so what happens? How do you approach people when it's kind of like an issue? You know, maybe you're not getting exactly what you want. I mean, and I know that it's different when you're kind of paying somebody, right? You know, they're paid to do a job. But what if it's like a friend? You know?
Am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
You tell him to stop fucking up.
I mean, really, I mean, because I mean, what's funny is that it's if he. Yeah,
well,
you just got to be blunt about it. Yeah, you just got to be blunt about it, or else you're never going to get what you want. You know,
right? You know, you just have to say, look, this isn't right. You know, this isn't what we need. You know, this isn't where it should be going. You know, but I'll be honest with you, it's very rare that I come across that. Daphne's always been a consummate professional. Jade Gonzalez, my regular artist on the Oswald Chronicles. Like I said, we've done 1,200 pages together. I can count on both. I don't even think I need both hands. Maybe one hand. How many times I had to tell her to go back and change something? You know, on 1,200 pages, that's, you know.
And I don't. And to tell you the truth, I don't even remember like for Tall Tales if there was anything. You know, really, it's like. I nothing comes to mind really. I mean, I think it's more Oswald, like, you know, like if there's just a look you're not feeling, then it's like you mention it, but nothing really specific comes to mind.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, in finding artists for Oswald, you know, like I said, I mean, I have a system where I try to get the artist to draw a smaller picture, then we'll move into like a 2 or 3 short story, and then we'll go on to something longer. And that's usually for me the way to go, because like I said, the thing with a superhero comic, right? A guy who can draw Superman can probably draw Batman. You know, a guy who can draw Wonder Woman could probably draw Power Girl or Scarlet Witch or whatever, right? But then I present them, I say, hey, listen, draw me this talking mouse. You know, they freak out. They're like, what the hell?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they freak out. They were like, what is that? Why does that look like that? You know?
Haven't you ever seen an American Tail? Come on.
Right.
No, yeah, it's really funny how it does that character. I mean, it's like a litmus test. Well, literally and figuratively. It's, yeah.
Because the thing is, you know, they're illustrators and they're artists, right? And each have a little bit of both in them, right? So it's yin and yang, right? So you got a little bit of both in you. So the illustrators have a little bit of artists have a little bit of illustrators, okay? But the thing is, though, I found that artists can interpret that character, whereas guys who are more illustrators, they have a really tough time of really capturing it. So, you know.
Well, I think also when you have like Superman, Wonder Woman, and all that, you have your references and everything that you could come off of. But when you talk about an anthropomorphic mouse, it's like, whoa, everybody wants to lose their mind.
No,
Like,
the thing is,
whoa.
though, you would think that would be easy though, and the funny thing is that you see, and the funny thing is that what throws people off is that he doesn't offer model sheets. It's like he doesn't want a direct interpretation. He wants your interpretation of the character, because that's one thing that he's like, he'll complain about like me drawing Oswald if I'm drawing something that looks too much like the way Jade draws Oswald. You know, because like, no, I want your Oswald. So I was like, okay, so I'll switch back.
Right.
You know, but there's some artists that they're too literal. So it's like, well, if we're not, what do you mean my version? You know, it's like they like the concept, they can't wrap their head around the concept as to what their version of anything is. Like, oh, do you have model sheets? And it's like, I can follow a model sheet, but I'm not, you know, you're asking me to draw my version of a mouse. It's like, and poof, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of segues into a really quick question, but see, before you lose your question, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, because that's one thing when somebody throws their character out there, you want to be careful with, especially with a character that's been around for so many years, how you want to draw that character, and it's real easy to fall back into how you normally see that character. So yeah, I could understand the freak out there.
Well, you know, and so the question that I had was, at what point do you feel like you found your voice? And for Daphne,
wow,
you know, I've been following you on Facebook for, you know, a little over a year now, because of Geek Insider. You know, it's just like, okay, now I'm in this world, and it's like paying attention and stuff. And I saw a post that you did that had your then and now, and kind of coming into your own art style. And so now it's kind of neat, because even with C's work, your work, you know, other people's work, it's like when I see it without knowing who posted it, I'm like, I bet that's Daphne's work. You know, it's almost like a game for me. At what point did you feel like you found your voice?
You know, what's funny is like I'm in it's, and I say that's funny a lot too. I'm kind of in a transitional period right now. Ever since that's like I really started working on Eagle Raven again, like really seriously, I'm noticing that my style is changing now. So it's going for like a more cartoon, like what's funny, because I would I consider myself, you know, a cartoonist and an illustrator. And I always felt that was like kind of like equal, but now it's like I'm feeling more like, no, I'm actually a cartoonist. And I'm really leaning into this like really simpler style, a more like you know, less like this is like indicative of my usual style, which is like really like complicated, you know. And now it's like I'm kind of transitioning into something simpler, where it's like a lot of people have been saying it's like, oh, it looks like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and I'm kind of like really chuffed about that. So it's like I'm kind of really leaning into it. So I'm beginning to really get used to it. Like I'm really liking what's coming out now. So like right now, this is the voice I have right now. I mean, I can't say this is going to be the voice I have 10 years from now. And it definitely wasn't the voice I had 10 years ago, as you could tell from those pictures, because I was heavily influenced by anime and in 80s style, in early 90s style anime. I mean, technically I'm still finding my voice, but I'm liking what I'm seeing now, what's coming out now. And it's an ever moving target for me.
Well, how much I know you had classes with Will Eisner, which is huge. But how much of that stuff now kind of comes back up? Like sometimes you'll forget about how to do something, and then you start drawing, and you just kind of remember how it was taught. Or I
mean, I can't. The problem with me having Will Eisner's class is that I wasn't really paying attention much when I took them. But that was like my entire college.
All right, it was nice to know you, Daphne.
Yeah. I mean, I can say with all sincerity though that the one thing that did click for me in his class was story. It was the storytelling as timing in between panels. Like there is a sense of timing when doing sequentials. And that's where it really clicked for me.
Right.
That, how to time out scenes, how to time out an entire comic book, like how to get the panels to flow into each other. Yeah, and that's pretty much the main thing that really stuck with me. I mean, whether I go back to anything like, oh yeah, he said that. He said that. I don't know. You know what it is? It's like it's one of those things where there's a lot of people talking in my head. Yeah. Like there was like one story where I mentioned that I was in Denny O'Neill's class. Again, another class I didn't pay attention in. But he had told this story about Neil Adams. And it was like a throwaway story. I don't even remember the context of what it was on. What it was about. And he had mentioned that Neil Adams would draw seam, like he was the one who started drawing seams in Batman's gloves or something to give it like I guess more like a dimensional effect in the artwork. Yeah. And like I said, it was a throwaway line. But for some reason, that line stuck in my head. And I found myself drawing these lines on my characters. And what's funny is that how that line makes a difference.
It does.
And it was just a throwaway line. It wasn't meant to be anything, but for some reason that's what caught on. So that's kind of the stuff that I latch onto, really. It's just like these random thoughts.
Yeah, and in Daphne's defense, as far as not paying attention, it's really hard when you're trying to take an art class because you get inspired by art so much. Like, I just want to draw.
Well, I don't know if it was if it was that, or it's just like I think like the School of Visual Arts just bored me completely. So it was not a good 4 years for me. See, I was the type of person who probably should have taken a gap year and gone to school later. But that wasn't a thing back then. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm so glad that I'm doing this now that I'm older. Right. But JD, kind of the same question for you, like finding your voice and stuff. As a writer, a lot of times, for me personally, I feel like I'm borrowing. It's like all of these influences. Of course, we can't help that, right? But at some point, Oswald becomes your baby, your voice and stuff. What was that like, finding your voice? When did it feel like, all right, I feel like this has finally arrived?
I don't think I've gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
It's for me is like I always work from a point of self-doubt. Okay, so I'm working, right? I'm working and I'm constantly working and I'm constantly saying, do I suck? Right? And I always ask myself, am I sucking? Right? Am I sucking? How can I be better? How can I make this better? How can I make this stronger? How can I make this more emotionally impactful? How can I, continue this process of trying to grow as a writer? Because it's not easy, because you reach a point where you're, when you're young, right? So let's say, you can see from a point, let's say you're 18 years old, between 18 and 25, you've grown quite a bit. But there comes a point where that you cut off. You're like, okay, you hit a certain point. You can still grow, but it's not going to be that huge line. It's going to be incremental. And it's just going to be like, so, I always say, I want to be a better artist. I want to be a better writer today than I was yesterday, and tomorrow a better writer than I am today. Okay. So, but how far up a notch can you make? You understand? So that's the thing. And I try to read the best writers. I look out and I say, okay, who's the best that I can read? And, if you tell me, you just read a terrible book, I won't even look at it. I don't want to read trash. I want to read the best. because this is what I'm comparing myself to. You understand? I'm not going to say I'm ever going to get that good or be that great, but I'm trying. That's where I want to be. You might have heard me say, there's I am a Sturgeon's Law fan, where 95% of everything is crap. Okay, it's our job to get into that 5%. Okay, that's my job. Get into that 5%. Don't be 95%. Be, somewhere up there. Yeah, and that's pretty much how I work it. As far as finding my voice, like I said, I'm still working at it. I work at it. I don't know if I work at it as diligently as I should, but I am working at it. And that's why I tell everybody, I said, listen, you can write your story, and at that point, when you have your first draft, it could be crap, but you might be able to beat that sucker into something. That's the thing. I use the analogy of, I find editing like silversmithing, right? They say the more you beat silver, the purer it becomes. I don't know if that's actually true, but I've heard that a long time ago. But that's always stuck with me. You understand? Beat it, make it purer, make it better. So that's my process. I don't know how everybody else will interpret that. But I'll just tell you, it's not easy.
Yeah, no. And I had heard from, I don't even know if it's an actual quote, but, they always said, like, write drunk and edit sober.
No, I've heard that. I've heard that, yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things because, for a lot of people, I think they get stuck in the rough draft, whether you're an artist or a writer.
Yeah.
You get stuck in the rough draft. You're, for you, I'm learning the blue and the red pencils and things like that. And, you can always noodle. You can keep noodling forever. You can keep hammering down on the words and stuff. Yeah. But something that Daphne said earlier about like simplifying it. Guys, finding that simplification of your artwork or your words does not mean it's easier, nor does it mean it's lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
I took a class, and that's what the writer who was teaching the class made that statement. She had all these students coming in and said they thought they were just going to be writing a whole bunch. When they found out that they had to write like 500 words per short story or something, that's what it really drove them crazy. They thought they would be writing a whole bunch. Writing less is worse than actually writing more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you have to hone it down.
Yeah. Sometimes writing a 3-page story is much harder than writing a 32-page story. Yeah. So, it just depends where you're at. But that's why I try to go back and forth. I try to write some shorts, and I try to write, long form. Well, long form comes naturally, but dropping in those shorts is important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So JD, now I have a question, and it kind of circles back to what we talked about at the very beginning with, kind of filmmaking and stuff like that, taking those classes. How different is it to do a comic book script compared to maybe a film script?
Again, it's a thing about stripping things away, because there's certain things I can do in a comic that I can't do in a film. And there's certain things that I discovered filming that are very viable in film that doesn't translate over into a comic book. And a lot of that has to do with your actor's performance. If you have a really good actor, they can take a so-so line and make it into something incredible. They can take a so-so scene and make it into something stunning. This is what separates, like really good actors from, I don't know, your cousin, I don't know, right? Right. So this is what separates those actors, from the regular ones. And I really learned to appreciate that, because it's really all about casting and who you get in there, and whether that they can interpret that story, how they interpret it. And that's the other thing is, I'm thinking of it one way in my mind, and then they're thinking of it another way in theirs. They're like, oh no, the character's supposed to be this and that. Like, okay. And then that's where the real collaboration comes in. I mean, I worked with one guy, he was a friend of mine, and he's not an actor, right? But he had a good look, right? And I was like, okay, and I wrote him some dialogue, and it was long and complicated, and he could never hit it. So I was like, okay, let's work on this. So I would sit there and I would rewrite the lines for him, and have him go over it, boom. And then once we got it to a certain point, I said, okay, boom, we got it. So, and then the thing is, yeah, it's a matter of just stripping, like from going from one to the other, it was literally just stripping away. You know, it was just like, okay, so this is this and this is this. I can't say one is easier than the other. They're just different animals. They're like a slightly different animals. I guess the difference between like wolves and dogs. I don't know. They're the same but kind of different. So, yeah.
And kind of I guess along the same thread, Daphne, when it comes to art, especially in comic books, you know, these are things that I'm learning, you know, like your splash pages, your pinups, and then all of a sudden you're asked to do sequential art when maybe you never did it before. I mean, that's got to be kind of steep, you know, because to what you guys were saying, that in between, those in between moments, like, how do you find that when you don't have a live action actor, but you're going from panel to panel?
Well, that's exactly how it started, because like I had never done comics before until I started working on Tall Tales, and yeah, that was, you know, learning to swim by not drowning, and yeah, it was a huge learning curve. Yeah, and it was just like just hammering out those pages and just keep going and going and going until, you know, it clicks eventually, or it's like in our case, it's like, okay, so by the time we got to the first issue, it was like, okay, it's I guess like good enough, you know, and then it's just kept going, and then because there does come a point, it's like you were mentioning the thing about noodling, it's like there does come a point where it's like you have to stop noodling. We know way too many people who they just keep noodling on their first issue. They keep redoing their first issue. They do like 2 versions, 3 versions, and it never comes out because it's not perfect yet. And it's like, it's not going to be perfect. You know, it's like you're going to have a natural progression anyway. So it's like, instead of doing your first issue 5 times, you could have been on issue 5 already. So, yeah, it's like sometimes you really have to decide that it's like it's good enough and loose it into the world. And then it's like, okay, you know what? It's like when, you know, I get to the new stuff, it'll, you know, everything that I've learned up until that point will show up there. But until then, it's like, this is what it is for now.
Well, okay, let me ask you on that. Do you have a hard fast rule of like, okay, this is passable and this is just bad art that I have to do?
It's like, well, that's technically what I'm going through now with putting out Ego Raven, because the artwork in this book is 20 years old. So, but the thing is, though, it's still good enough that, you know, I figured, okay, I'm not going to sit here and redo the entire book. However, there was a lot of noodling I did to a lot of places, because I was like, did I have a stroke in this drawing this scene? It's like, so I had to, like, there was literally a scene where it's like I had to like redo the entire background, because I'm like, what was I thinking? You know, it's like these lines don't add up at all to anything, you know? So it's like, so what I'm doing is I'm changing just enough so that it's not like completely ridiculous, but overall the artwork is good enough. Until I get to issue 6, where the new artwork where I'm applying everything that I'm learning now is going to show up. And also, that was the thing too that I wanted to do, is I wanted to, like, when I finally get to that issue 6, the transition between the first 5 issues is not that jarring. So, like, I'm tweaking character faces and certain things, so that's like, okay, when I get to issue 6, you still know it's these characters, but now they just look improved.
You still get the same feeling, but just kind of
I'm so glad you said that, because that was going to be my question. It's like, okay, you know, these stories, you know, the panels, your thumbnails and things like that being 20 years old, and then again you saying how, you know, you're kind of coming into this simplification and things and finding that transition without being like, pow,
right,
just a smack in the face and stuff. So that's really cool. Now we're at the top of the hour, and I definitely want to talk about the 2 crowdfunds that's going on right now. JD, you've got the Oswald Chronicles, My Time with Clive 1 through 4 on Indiegogo. Right. Now you've only got a few hours left. Are you planning on extending that, or
no?
What are you going to do with that?
Well, because the thing is that particular campaign, it's a second campaign, so it's a kind of catch up. So if someone hasn't seen it before and they need to catch up, that's the place to catch it up. And what I'll do is I have a live in-demand store. So what I'll do is I'll take that and I'll put it in there. And so if anybody wants to catch up, they can catch up. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, JD is addicted to crowdfunding. So it's like, if you missed one, don't worry, but there'll be one right after.
They'll come back around. Right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask that question is, if I'm hopping on, what book is the best one to hop onto, Oswald? I know you have it in arcs and you can hop on it anytime. But if I wanted to start at the beginning, where would I start?
You would start with, it's My First Day in Passing Queens and Making Homes. So My First Day is literally his first day, so it's like his origin story, and then it flows right into Passing Queens and Making Homes, and that's 8 issues right there. So that you just go in a straight line. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I've got your Tall Tales, Thieves Quest Volume 1 trade paperback, and I know quite a few people who are like, it's about damn time.
Oh, damn. Did you see that number move?
Yeah.
There you go. Right?
That was pretty cool.
That was neat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Who says a watch pot doesn't boil?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, what was the decision? What was why now? Why just all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, and I'm saying all of a sudden, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure that this has been in the back of your head to maybe do.
Well, this was, I mean, because it's like, wow. We were originally putting out Kickstarters for the current Tall Tales series that I'm also working on at the same time, Tears of the Mother, which is technically the second story arc. And what happened was that we pretty much, since lockdown happened, although JD was kind of like finding people a little before then, but I started really paying attention once lockdown happened last year. And pretty much we were getting involved with the Indie Vault crew, with Varian, with Randy, and the more, with you too, Meredith, and everybody, and what we began to realize was that we were seeing a whole new audience for our work that we didn't see before, and we were planning on doing the Kickstarter for issue 6. And then it's like, I was really, really kind of thinking about it. And I went to JD. It's like, you know what? It's like, we have an entirely new audience pretty much. Mm-hmm. What if we reissued the first, the first series again, just to start everybody from the beginning so that it would make more sense rather than plopping them in the middle of this vast storyline, which is like over like 1,000-something pages. So, and it didn't take much. He says, yeah, you know what, that's actually a good idea.
Yes.
So we had an original like omnibus before, but we discontinued it because we weren't crazy with the quality and whatnot. And we discovered that if we went back to our smaller volumes, we were able to get the quality that we were looking for. Except this time, we decided to do the book as comic book size, which is what it should have been to begin with. Because before we were doing digest size. We were doing a smaller size. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you see, it's a huge, I mean, to me, it's a huge difference because I don't know. It's like those extra inches, makes, it's, size matters. So yeah,
I wasn't going to say that. I was thinking it though.
So in the end, it's like we decided, you know what, let's go ahead with putting out the trade of the original series. And that's how we came to the decision. It's because we literally had found ourselves with a brand new audience who wasn't really familiar. Like they were beginning to get familiar with us, but not really our work.
Mhm.
So that's how we ended up here, which, to tell you the truth, I'm loving it. I'm loving that we're reissuing and remastering this stuff. So
we love it too.
yeah.
Now,
Oh, thank you.
tell us a little bit. Am I on mute? I just went. Okay, no, I'm not. Tell us a little bit about the vinyl toy, because that's not
Oh no,
cheap or an easy decision
well,
to do.
that's talk to that guy.
Okay, so quite a while ago, we were going to San Diego Comic-Con, and we had been going to San Diego Comic-Con, I guess, for about 4 or 5 years running, maybe 6. And there's a section over there where they have art collector toys, and they were vinyl toys. And we were like, oh, those are mad cool. Those are really nice looking. And we got involved. And I had met a guy who was a broker, and he was like, oh yeah, I can get that done for you, blah, blah, blah. And we came up with a design. I researched it for 2 years. I was talking to people, watching documentaries, just getting information. The market was really hot, right? So we were like, okay, let's do this. So we pumped, I got my bid, nearly I fell out of my chair 3 times. But we were like, we're going to do this. We could have bought a car.
Oh man,
a nice one. And mind you, paid it in full. So we were like, okay, let's do this. We did it. We got our toys. They look fantastic. 2 weeks later, the economy tanks. I mean, took a huge nosedive. This was 2008.
Right. That was the housing, I think it was.
Yeah, the housing bubble.
It just
Yeah.
tanked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had these vinyl figures ever since then. And listen, if I had a nickel for every time I said, those are fantastic, I'd have made up that sum that we spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they are fantastic.
Oh,
I'm waiting for mine. I'm really.
Oh, you're gonna get them. Trust me.
Do you have one? Do you have one handy near you, Jose?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to
Oh wow, that's bigger than I
Let's get you
thought
up
it
on
was.
the. Hold on, let's get you on the big screen here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, so that's the
That's
black and white
impressive.
blood splatter edition.
Yeah, and we did.
So
we have like a black and white version. We have a color. I mean, we have the full color version. We have a glow we have a green glow, a blue glow. We have him just in black and white, which I wish I had here because that's an awesome looking one. We have the full color. We have the full color with blood on them. So yeah, we just went nuts.
Right, but we have only the four of them available on the Kickstarter right now.
Oh yeah.
We have the blue glow, the blue glow, green glow, the black and white blood splatter, and the main colorway.
Right.
see,
Right.
I'm telling you right now, I think you need to go back to work, get some overtime, because I know.
Oh no!
I
Look, we
know.
already
I
got
mean-
2 of them ordered. So she's gonna take the blood splatter one. I'm gonna have the other one back here on the shelf. I promise you. And I did not realize how big they were. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I was
There's
thinking that
7
they
inches,
were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The 7 inches,
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't think. I heard it the other night. It said it was 7 inches. I was thinking, 7 inches? No.
They're
See, size
just as
does
big as the
matter,
book.
guys. Size does matter.
Mhm. Yeah.
So take us a little bit through the campaign then. I saw something up here. Let me just scroll back up with the original art editions.
Yeah, so with the sketch covers, so we're not going to offer the trade with a sketch cover because that's a little too extra for us. So we have individual issues of the current storyline, Tears of the Mother, and also we have some sketch covers of from the Peacekeepers. We have some sketch covers from a one shot that we did called Or So I Thought. And so when you get this, so what you're getting is a combo collectible / sampler of another story arc that we also have for Tall Tales. So if you get the sketch cover edition, it could be a random book that's also like part of the series. So yes, that's the sketch covers.
So now, stickers. You guys have a lot of stickers.
I love stickers.
And I've never really been a sticker collection. It's like if I get them, I've been kind of sending them to Nita, because I think she's got a door in her office, and if they ever move, that door is going with her. But I mean, do you? When it comes to swag and stuff like that, is there value in it? Do you think that helps your campaign, or is it just something kind of extra that you like to give your fans?
I think it's both. I like the extra. I like the extra stuff. Like stickers. We have a trading card that we're offering. I think the really neat one that I'm looking forward to doing is the metal bookmark. And it's like we try to keep our extras entertaining and useful at the same time. It's like, because I mean we've seen some really weird extras that were like a little too extra for us, and we're like going, why did they make this?
Right. Yeah, we were looking through what's allowed on perks on Indiegogo earlier.
Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of strange perks, so we try to keep it simple and recognizable, and something that people that's easy for people to like either store or like frame or use. But the thing is though, I think people do react to them, especially if it's like a goal to unlock, because like I said, I'm looking forward to the metal bookmark myself. So.
In my last Oswald Chronicles Kickstarter, I did 3 levels of perks that we went through. So we had stretch goals. So I went from we reached our goal, and then we did what was it? Okay, it was a sticker. So we did a sticker, and then the next level I did a PDF level of a book that's not going to come out for like another year. And then for the 3rd level, to get to 3K, I did a metal trading card. And I don't think I would have made it to 3K without that card.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people love collecting things and stuff. It's
I say it as advertising. It's almost free advertising, because I'll tell you, I actually have an Oswald button on my hat that I'm not wearing now. So people get to see that, and they will ask questions if it looks cool. It's like, hey, what's that? So.
Yeah. The only advice I would have is that know what you're ordering and know what you're offering, because you don't want to like go out there and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you, I don't know, this gold coin.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like, well, that gold coin costs you, I don't know, $50 or $80 to make, and you got to make 100 of them. You just blew all your money. So you got to, it has to be within a budget. So you got to just keep it within that budget. So as long as just spend wisely. That's all I suggest any creator.
Right. Now, so just because you got a crowdfund going, I mean, and it's a full immersive experience. Anybody who's never done one, it's a lot of hard work, kind of putting together the campaign and then making sure that it's delivered and all that good stuff. But everything else doesn't stop there.
Right.
What are you guys working on next? I mean, what are you kind of thinking? What's on the calendar? Daphne, I know you've got a few things on the calendar.
Oh yeah. It's and already like things are slightly shifting, because maybe I'm one campaign too much for this year. But it's like it's nonstop.
You also have a. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I also bring up, you're also on an Indie Vault Revolt.
Right. Yeah. That's another. Yeah. And all these. Yeah. I'm in Indie Vault Revolt. Well, we are. Right? Yeah. We have a story in there. I'm sharing cover duties with Russ Leach on Indie Vault. And it's like, and I'm already like, my head is already like, okay, we have Tall Tales now. Now my head is already on my Kickstarter that I just realized I might have to push up push back. I always get confused. Push back probably like a week or so because it was supposed to be for May, and we had to push. We had to push this campaign because it interfered with an Oswald campaign. So yeah, so it's like, so now it's like, okay, well, I can still keep it in May, but now we just have to shift it, and yeah, so it's like I'm already, and now mind you, my brain is already in December. I'm already like I'm already back there. So yeah, it doesn't, yeah, I'm already like,
yeah, Daphne is way more organized than I am, and when it comes down to my campaigns, I'm like, okay, this one finished. All right, what do I have next up on the docket? All right, we could do this one. And I just put the campaign together. I'm like, oh, I launch it. So, yeah, so she's a little bit more organized when it comes
well,
down
because you see, what's funny is that because in the past, like San Diego Comic-Con used to be our goal. That would be the yearly goal. Like, okay, everything that we're doing is to take everything to San Diego Comic-Con. We haven't been to that convention in years. And especially with the way conventions are now, that's kind of, so campaigns have turned into that goal that to chase after. So so what it is that, yeah, I'm only organized only so far as I need these goals to chase to make sure I get the work done. Or else it's very easy for me to fall into complacency, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter, and there's just like way too much work to do now. It's like, so yeah, so I need those targets to hit. Yeah.
So now with the world kind of opening up, San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know, did they announce?
Not San Diego, New York did.
New York did.
San Diego.
San Diego's doing that weird Thanksgiving weekend
November or something.
thing.
But now MegaCon, Daphne, I know you love Disney.
Yeah.
Are you coming down to Orlando, MegaCon?
MegaCon, no. Like I said, it's probably going to take a bit for us to get back into the routine of doing conventions, and I think that's just a general thing. Although it's like I finally got my appointment for vaccination, so maybe my thought process will change a bit after that. But so yeah, it's just going to take a while for us to get back into the convention routine, because also what I see happening too is that, like, before we would try to keep conventions as cheap as possible, and after a whole year of not doing it, like, we're already seriously talking like, maybe spending $1,200 on a table at New York Comic-Con might not be a bad thing. So
it's like cabin fever at this point.
So I mean, like, like maybe eventually, we'll get around to going to MegaCon or whatnot, but not yet. There's nothing in our immediate future yet.
Yeah,
right.
But we will be going to Disney World
in
September.
Oh boy!
No, a month after we're going to be there. No,
you're just going to miss your super fan.
I guess you're just going to have people move in with you, Meredith.
Right? So now, do you, when it comes to conventions and things like that, do you prefer the larger events, or do you like the smaller events, or like maybe even book signings and things?
Ooh. That's a tough one, because because before lockdown happened, I was up to here with conventions. I didn't care. It's like, I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of them. We spend too much money at them. We don't, it doesn't really, we don't see really any return on investment on them, blah, 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 the whole thing. Right. A year later, I'm like going, I'll go to anyone right now. It's like big, small, like I said, we're seriously thinking about, getting a table at New York Comic-Con. So, spending that type of ridiculous money. So, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, big conventions have their pros and cons, and so do smaller conventions. the thing that I dislike about larger conventions is that they usually tend to be more media focused, and they just sometimes it's too many people to have at a show, because it's like it's just overwhelming for everybody, and then you don't see anybody. It's hard, it's like everyone's like going, oh, you're one table out of seven, however many tables, I don't know how, like, does San Diego have like 7,000 tables? No, I think I'm confusing with Comic-Con or something.
Yeah.
It's
That
like,
makes me claustrophobic thinking about it.
yeah, I think Comic-Con is like 30,000 tables.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the one in Japan. Yeah, that's the one in Japan. So it's like, so but smaller conventions, sometimes they can be a little too small, a little too local. People are just there to hang out rather than actually look and buy at comics. So it just depends on what I'm feeling at the moment, I guess.
Yeah. Somebody was and I don't know if it's true for everybody. I guess our perceptions, and it's subjective, but some were saying that the larger cons are great to kind of get your name out there and make sales, whereas the smaller ones are a little bit more about networking. Where maybe you can have more time to talk to other people and, kind of share your work and talk about the industry. And then, who knows, with those connections, they might lead to something later on down the line. So that's
true. Cause that's the type of thing that, like, to do that type of networking at San Diego almost seems impossible to me.
Yeah.
Because when we were at San Diego, I mean, Daphne kind of hates the fact that I like to roam. I'm a roamer. Yeah.
Oh, so you leave her you leave her at the table. You're like, work, woman, work.
You're right. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Then and then randomly I'd get a phone call. Come back to the table. You got to sign books.
Oh, right.
It's like,
you got to draw anyway, so you can sit down and just draw.
Right.
Exactly.
No, it's not. That's not easy either, because it's like you can't be like this and sell your stuff at the same time.
Right.
So it's like I can't even sit down and draw, if I'm at the table by myself. So
that's rough.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we would like to maybe bring you guys back with, like the how to survive a convention, I mean, because there's like so much that you hear about. You hear about the con crud. You hear about the nightmare of sitting next to like the terrible neighbor, and things like that, and all of those challenges and stuff. But we are getting towards our 90 minutes, and I appreciate you both coming in here. So anybody who's tuning in, this is RAGIN. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 100, but we have a growing network and stuff. Daphne, you've got a YouTube channel. Actually, you both do.
Yeah.
And they're significantly different. Can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channels?
Well, mine is more like art tutorial focused. I like a lot of my videos are like, they're like either speed paints. Like if you like looking over an artist's shoulder while they work, that's kind of the vibe that I have for my channel. A lot of speed paints. There's some tutorials on there. I talk a lot about my process. And if I'm feeling, and on some rare occasions, if I'm feeling a bit in the mood, I do some what people say is rather entertaining rant videos, art rant videos. I also do like product reviews and whatnot. And I'm just recently trying to get into the habit of doing a weekly live stream where it's whatever I'm working at the time, and then we just go full stream of consciousness type of dialogue where people in the chat ask questions, and we just have a conversation for 2 hours. So that's my channel.
I primarily, I started off primarily just doing reviews. And then some insane person asked me to interview them. And I was like, okay, sure. And then So I started interviewing people. So, and then eventually it became to, I'm usually doing maybe one interview a week. Sometimes I'll skip a week, like this week. And but on Sunday I have just talking comics on a Sunday, which is just myself, a few other creators. I have a couple regular people that come on, like JD Rosario and Varian and Randy, and then try to bring in a few people that aren't on regularly. Try to bring on some new faces. And we talk about comics. We talk about how to create comics. We talk about the industry, what's going on, and that sort of thing. And we try to, as much as we goof around and joke, we try to look at it a little bit more seriously, especially the writing aspect and the creation and that sort of thing. Because there's a lot of information out there. I mean, there's boatloads of experience between the group of us that we can help impart to anyone who's new, who's trying to come up. Because I tell everybody, all this stuff is out there. You can just ask, and most of us are more than willing to help out, and give whatever information we can. So
Yeah. Now, Daphne, I've seen your sketches on quite a few things. Lore. When I saw you coloring that in, that was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and what else you've done some sketches for? We want to give them a little bit of love also, and then and some love to Indie Vault Revolt, the sequential art.
Yeah,
book.
well, that was the first book I did on one of my live streams. I did this sketch for a mischievous sketch for it's kind of like a backer reward. That now once we reach 50 backers, those 50 people get put in a raffle to win the original piece that I did. So if you go back, I think it was like 2 live streams ago. If you go on my channel, I think I was working on the piece on that live. But also it's like at 50 backers, we also unlock a print. So if you don't win the original, everybody gets a print of that. So with the lore one, which is for an adult book, so that's so the different audience there. That one, what they're going to do, so I did a sketch on a live stream when we were on Geekasm, and that piece is going to be also offered as a print for lore, but the official details of that has not come out yet. So that's there is so I technically have a print for lore for this adult thriller book. So that's which is currently on Indiegogo right now. Actually, both Indie Vault and Indie Vault Revolt and Lore is on Indiegogo right now. So.
Yeah. And because I saw you with your markers and you're going in, it's like, oh my God, the shading and then the details and then the sequins, and I was just like, how in the hell? I mean, it blows my mind because I don't do the art thing, you guys. I admire it and I think it's so cool. And it just seemed like, you were just like, oh, shade here. And you just kind of did it. And I'm like, oh my God, that would have been like taken forever just to see the light and stuff like that, to see that detail.
Well,
it's
that's
really kind of cool.
That's the culmination of decades of work,
Yeah.
Color helps me. So.
Yeah, it took me, it took me the entirety of the show to an hour to do the piece, but it took me several decades to get to that point. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
No.
And when things look easy, it's because you have so many hours and years behind it to develop that. So, Nita, I wish you were here. I wish you were feeling better. But I mean, literally, guys, it was like kind of like she had the napkins up her nose and stuff.
It's like it looks like that anyway on the title card. So I mean, come on,
I'm sure the wire vets didn't help either. We did that as a challenge today. Crunchy. So, but where else can people find you? Because I do have some of your links in our show description. So you guys, if you're following us on Facebook or whether it's the YouTube channel, you'll take a look at the description. You'll see the links to the Indiegogo for the Oswald Chronicles. He's got a few hours left on that. Tall Tales Thieves Quest, Volume 1 right now on Kickstarter. You have 25 days to go, 40 backers. Let's get them to 50. I mean, there's no reason why we can't get you to 50.
Right.
And
Yeah, because
more
right
and
now,
more.
because right now our backer record is 133.
Nice.
Which is what I got on Eagle Raven issue 1. So now the goal is to surpass that.
Yeah.
So let's go to 134. 134 backers.
Now, what do you do? Do you smash your F5 button to hit the refresh, or do you kind of check in every once in a while?
I really do try to check in, just like probably in the morning, or like, and mind you, what you showed on the screen is probably the second time that I've looked at it today. It's like I looked at it once this morning, did what I had to do, and then just left it because I have too much work to hyper focus on a campaign. There just comes a point where I just have to let it go.
Right.
So,
yeah. JD, how about you? Do you smash that F5 or?
Yeah, unfortunate. Well, I don't use the F5. I'm usually on my phone, but it's like almost a reflex. If I see it come up in my stream, I'm like, oh, what? Click. Oh, damn it, I did it again. And I always check. So it's just like, it's a reflex at this point. But I'm trying to pull away from that. And usually I'm at work when I'm doing it, so it's not that bad.
Right. It's still working. We won't tell. Exactly. We won't tell anybody.
No.
And see, Michael, I want to thank you for sitting in for you are a Cajun.
Yeah.
And you got the bandana on.
That's right.
So
we'll go hunt some Kiefer Sutherlands.
Well, we're going to go around the room. See, we're going to start with you so that people know where to follow you as well, because you are not the normal host of RAGIN, but we appreciate you for being here. Thank you for taking the seat.
Of course, I'm C. Michael Edding. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find me on Weekended on Fridays. And for the next 3 weeks, we only have 3 weeks left of Sunday Comics Brunch before we go on our hiatus. So you can check us out over there. And, of course, Geek Speak with Meredith Lage on Monday nights. So our comic night.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing some comics talks and things like that, and it's really kind of like a roundtable discussion, and then kind of like what we did today was if they've got a crowdfund or something, we like to share that out. And again, you guys, if you can't afford it right now, you can take a moment to hit the share button. That means a lot. And then get notified, sign up for updates and things like that, because you never know. I mean, if you get a windfall or something, or payday's there and you want to throw a little love at it, that's great. Sometimes $1 makes a difference, especially helping with the algorithms, especially helping with those backer numbers, because a lot of times those are some pretty cool, there are some pretty cool goals that go with that too. JD, where can people follow you?
Facebook under JD Calderon, Twitter under JD Calderon, Instagram under JD Calderon, DeviantArt under JD Calderon, and the Oswald Chronicles. And you can also find me under the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, and also on YouTube under JD Calderon or Indie Comics Explained.
Daphne.
Well, if you head on over to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, you can find links to all my social media there. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, on DeviantArt. All my art galleries are there too. Also at Egoworks, while you're there, you can read the first 5 issues of Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free. And you can sign up to get notified when issue 2 goes live sometime in May. And also you'll find a link to Tall Tales Online, TAILS, where you can read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free. But trust me, it's a lot more convenient if you head over to Kickstarter and you pick up the trade paperback to Tall Tales Thieves Quest Volume 1, where you can start the entire adventure from the beginning. So.
Yeah, and help JD get back that money for the car, on those vitals, get rid of some of that inventory. But you said that was limited too, right?
Yes. As far as, limited to what? Well, like this one.
Yeah.
I think we only produced 100 of these.
Oh, okay.
So then, the two glows I think are at 100, and then some of the other ones they're more. I don't even remember how many.
Oh.
Mhm.
We just got a lot of them,
Yeah.
and we want to share them with everybody.
Yes,
we want
exactly.
to share.
And with everybody who says that they look really cool. So we want you
Yeah.
to have them in your house.
And I'm glad
Yes.
that you showed them because I had no idea. I mean, I was really thinking like little 3D print things,
Right.
maybe like
Oh,
that
no,
big.
yeah.
And
This is
wow.
you got his little
That's-
arms move.
It's like shoot.
Okay.
Now
That
I
is
gotta
some
tell.
serious stuff right there.
I gotta go tell my husband to do some overtime.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. This is RAGIN. Let's put the card up here. We had our special guests, Daphne Lage and JD Calderon, episode 6 on RAGIN. Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. We do a daily vlog as well. You never know what's going to happen. Today we ate larva. Last week we did Being Boozled. It was kind of gross. And we've got more things that are coming up, reaction videos, and just talking. It's like, I don't know, Seinfeld, but we've got boobs. There you go. On that note, you guys, thank you for tuning in, and make sure that you follow these guys as well. Check out the description. Their links are in the show description. Give them a follow. Follow them on social media. Just don't go peeking in the windows, okay? That's kind of creepy. All right, you guys, have a great night.
Have a good night.